Mims, so many companies, even surprising ones like Clorox and McDonald's, they're using AI for things like customer service and product innovation. But how does that actually work?
Based on what I've heard, I've got one word for you: agents.
Like secret agents, talent agents, who I need to call about this job, travel agents? What do you mean by agents?
I'm talking about AI agents. AI agents are advanced computer programs that can do tasks for you. And we talked about this with Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff last year. But we're about to hear from a CEO who is actually selling his company to Benioff and Salesforce for $8 billion in order to take this technology to the next level.
That's next. Informatica is a company that's been around since 1993. It's not a household name, but many of its clients are. And CEO Amit Walia helps them manage the mountain of data that modern companies generate. That data is even more important than ever, as it is helping companies fuel their ambition in artificial intelligence. AI, after all, is powerful when it runs on proprietary information. It allows companies to set up AI as customer service representatives or to glean new business insights from their operations. But it takes work to make that data usable. And businesses like a pharmaceutical company doing drug discovery can't afford to get the wrong answers.
In the enterprise world, everybody's ready for AI except their data. So I think we expect the same for the world, because on the World Wide Web, the data is free, available. And by the way, if your answer is 95% accurate or 90% accurate, you're not gonna have a wrong drug come, or you're not gonna have a wrong product that will bring down a particular infrastructure. You can't afford to do that in enterprise, right?
That puts Walia in position to understand how everyday businesses are preparing and thinking about how to use AI. It also makes Informatica an appealing acquisition target. Earlier this year, Salesforce announced it had reached a deal valued at $8 billion to acquire Informatica. It's just one of the many big moves in Silicon Valley to gobble up AI talent, which has become so precious.
AI is not created by AI. People are creating AI, and I really hope it stays that way and we control that. Talent matters.
From the Wall Street Journal, I'm Tim Higgins.
And I'm Christopher Mims. This is Bold Names, where you'll hear from the leaders of the bold named companies featured in the pages of the Wall Street Journal.
Today we ask, how are businesses preparing themselves for AI? Welcome. Before we talk about this blockbuster deal for Salesforce to buy your company, let's set the table and explain what Informatica is all about. For a lot of listeners, this isn't going to be a household name. Though many household names such as Toyota, PayPal, Unilever use your services. So in the most basic sense, what do you do?
Great question. Well, I think in another way, instead of blockbuster, maybe you call it the Netflix. It's the next gen, the streaming world, or the AI world.
Absolutely. It's not blockbuster. It's the Netflix. It's Hulu.
It's Hulu, yes. Well, look, Informatica, like you said, we are clearly not a consumer name. We serve consumers. Step back. I mean, Informatica actually is a data management company. What does that mean? I mean, look, we help enterprises create value from that data. Help them bring data from all kinds of places within an organization. It sits in many places, Tim, in a very disorganized way, in bad quality. We bring it all together for them to do productive work with them, like, do analytics, help understand how their business is doing, or figure out what the next best offer would be for their customers, or figure out how to create new products based on the data they have, or govern all the data they have so that they can continue to make sure everybody within the organization has the right way to interact with the data, and do other value-added things on top of that data, like understanding your customer better, understanding your supplier better. All of those things are called data management, and we serve any of the Fortune 1000 names that you see across the globe, making them better companies to serve their end customers.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things when you hear about the power of data, as if all data is like maybe water and it can just be used for greater purposes. It's never quite that simple, right? You got to pull it from all the different places. You got to make sure it can work across the organization. It's very complex, and companies like yourself are kind of, if you think about ChatGPT, as everybody knows, the other end of that kind of world is a company like yours helping companies get their data ready to be used in however they need to do it.
Totally. And I think ChatGPT is a great example, right? I mean, ChatGPT leverages the whole internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, we index the whole internet so you can go out and search for any kind of data out there. We do that exactly the same thing for enterprises. In fact, we have our own GPT called Clear GPT, and we index the entire enterprise data so you can search the data and you can do something productive with it versus just writing essays, as my teenagers have done with ChatGPT.
Right. But to be clear, this company was founded in 1993. And you've had kind of a twisty history along the way, right? Like you went private in 2015, public again in 2021. And, meanwhile, you've been rising up the ranks since 2013. What was your priority since you became CEO? Was it an acquisition like this?
I mean, kind of think of it, Informatica as like one of your great Netflix series that's going on. And it's like, what, season 3, season 4? Pick your whichever favorite.
We're like season 7, I think. 10
season
even.
7, yeah, whatever it is, right? I mean,
this is like the Law and Order SVU of companies. 1993 you were founded.
So we've seen many technology curves, and that's what makes this company very unique. That we've seen many technology innovations and trends come by and go. And what has stayed constant for us is that our North Star, that we've continued to innovate. And each technology curve, data has just become more important. We create more data and we make a mess of the data we create. Somebody has to go out and make that more usable. So whether
you're
it was
like the data janitors.
Well, I don't like that. I would call it the data genie. We basically come out there and make truly magic happens, because in today's world, with a few clicks, you can actually do the stuff that 20 years ago was total serious amount of programming, right? So whether it was the days of transactional databases, we saw the world of the internet, the world of big data, the world of mobile, and now the world of AI. And it's not just the same technology. Not only technology curves have changed, technology trends have changed. We've also added many, many, many more capabilities. We were a single product company. Today we are a platform with all things that encompasses data management. It's integration, quality, governance, mastering, cataloging. 30 years ago, we started as a tiny single product company that did a small slice of data integration. So many of things have changed. But to your point, we have seen it all and we've come out winners, bigger company, more innovative company. And that's what's very unique about us.
I got to ask, if we create a pie chart of your customers, what kind of companies tend to be your customers?
All large companies. So we serve enterprises. So pick names like Uber in the next gen company world. By the way, Salesforce themselves are a customer. You pick many of the airlines, JetBlue, you pick Royal Caribbean, you go out across the globe, NTT. Any country, large enterprise customers, government customers, the IRS, so on and so forth, end up being our customers, because that's where the most complexity is, and we help them.
You're helping companies kind of make the transition in a fast-moving tech world, but you're also making the transition yourself as a company, right? I think of earlier this year, Informatica stock dropped dramatically, something like 33% after missing some revenue estimates. And in part, it was because your customers are actually moving their data from on-premise services to cloud too quickly. And so I'm just curious, what does that signal about where the customer is, where your business is year going forward?
Actually, to give that answer, let's take 3 steps back. We've gone through a tremendous amount of transformation. Actually, we were a public company, like you said before. 2016, we went private, and we were a quintessential classic on-prem licensed software company. And when we went private, actually, we basically wanted to become a subscription company, with cloud being the driver. When I took over in 2020, I made the significant pivot towards being a cloud company. And within 2020 to 2023, we basically pivoted 100% towards the cloud. And in 2023, we became a cloud-only company. Literally, like, there were customers who wanted to buy our on-prem product, and we said, no. We wanted to have the only singular force of going towards the cloud, as we had built out the platform there. Along the way in that journey, I took the company public in 21 fall, and we got listed again on NYSE. So we were public, we went private, we came out as a public company again, and we basically pivoted to the cloud. But if you step back this year, starting from scratch, the company that had zero cloud business, we've guided to $1 billion of cloud ARR. And that, if you look at many startups, we talk about $1 billion valuation, we built $1 billion business from scratch within an existing company. Now, what we're doing along the way is that we've taken a legacy business and we're shedding it. We're moving it to the cloud and we are actively not selling it at all. It's kind of there as it moves to cloud or goes away. And we're okay with that because that's the hardest part. Companies stick to their legacies and hold on to it. And we knew that that's not where the world is going. So we pivoted very bravely, and not many can do that, to be very honest. It's a very hard decision to make, to shed your old and build the new. And the new is only usually done by startups. Now, along the way, what happens is that if you have basically, you're reducing one, growing new, you're going to have a weighted average that goes down. But our cloud business, by the way, was growing mid-30s last year. We've guided to mid-20s this year on $1 billion run rate.
And that weighted average going down.
Weighted average because it remains mid-single digits because you have $1 billion old on-prem business that is reducing and you have a new business that's growing. So you can do the math. But the reality is that we built a startup within the company that is now $1 billion on guidance revenue. And that's, of course, at scale, your growth rate is going to slow down to some extent.
Right. But earlier this year, your stock plunged by about a third after you missed your revenue estimates.
We guided down. Yes, we guided down. And, people want us to keep guiding up, and we took a hit on that one, and that's fine. I mean, the stock was on a high up too, and I think if we all look at the day the stock goes down, we can all look at the day the stock goes up, and at the end of the day, life normalizes in the long term, and you got to be careful on that one.
When we come back, we ask Walia why Informatica was worth so much money and what it means for the future.
Why then were you worth $8 billion to Salesforce?
Simple, Gen AI. Like I said, everybody's ready for AI except their data. They see it, we see it. They talk to the same customers we do.
Stay with us. You're experiencing the challenges of kind of the next generation of technology, just like your customers are. And in your role, I mean, you have great insight into what normal businesses, and I say normal, not just tech companies, how they're making these transitions in tech. And I'm just curious, what you're seeing with businesses these days when it comes to AI. If you live in Silicon Valley or in San Francisco, where I do, you think everybody's gaga for AI. But what's your sense outside of the bubble that we're in? Where are CTOs' minds and the IT department's minds on this new technology?
Yeah, no, I think you use the right word, the bubble we live in. Like I live in Silicon Valley too, right? And I have startup friends, I have VC friends, and I think if you look at one part of the narrative, the whole world is being run on AI today. And the reality is that I always say when you leave Silicon Valley, you're in let's say Wichita, Kansas, and you have a customer over there, that's where the reality is. And then the answer is like anything, by the way, in some ways it's not different than any other technology. In the enterprise world, the adoption takes time. Not for any wrong reason, but the reality is that if I use this phrase, that in the enterprise world, everybody's ready for AI except their data. So I think we expect the same for the world because on the World Wide Web, the data is free, available. And by the way, if your answer is, Tim, 95% accurate or 90% accurate, you're not gonna have a wrong drug come out. Or you're not going to have a wrong person passing through the immigration counter. Or you're not going to have a wrong product that will bring down a particular infrastructure. You can't afford to do that in enterprise, right? So in enterprise, classically takes time, and every cycle has taken time. And what happens is that we hype it up, and then we say, well, it's going to take over tomorrow. And then we say, well, it hasn't taken over yesterday. So what's wrong with it? Nothing's wrong with it. Think of the things like, first of all, your data has to be right. That takes work. Skill sets have to be there. You have to figure out the right use cases, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff you add up, and it takes time. So where enterprises are is that everybody's doing something with AI. Make no mistake. Absolutely, yes. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And there are a lot of them are in what I call pilot, pre-prod, experimenting. Some have done production stuff, but on the margin. And where you are seeing is that everybody is laddering up, because what we see in our honestly customer, we are now getting ready. We're doing the plumbing work to get the data ready. Because, for example, even if I got a use case ready, now I got to make sure that I have the right governance on top of it, right? You don't want wrong decisions to come out. You don't want wrong answers to come out. You don't want wrong person accessing raw data. If you're a pharmaceutical company, let's say doing drug discovery, you want to use AI. Even 99.5% won't be very good for you. So they're all going through that. And I totally see that the risk is very high, right? Rightfully so. So that's where enterprises are.
So why then were you worth $8 billion to Salesforce?
Simple, Gen AI. Like I said, everybody's ready for AI except their data. They see it, we see it. They talk to the same customers we do. They are users of our technology. They see it. And when you look at that, getting the data estate ready is the hardest problem right now.
So wait. To translate that into just layperson's terms, you mean getting this unstructured data, which supposedly Gen AI can just chew through on its own. Even so, there's a lot of data preparation that needs to be done.
The models have to be fed something. A model by itself.
Can't I just feed them everything that I'm storing in my Microsoft or Box Cloud or whatever?
They'll hallucinate like hell. So,
and hallucinate means they come up with crazy answers. They say that Bold Names is the best podcast ever. Oh, actually, it is. But
so exactly, right? And then, where do you go? How do you find the data, right? So, and by the way, the other one is that in any organization, not everybody's accessing all the data, right? You want to make sure that there is a model ready for doing, let's say, drug discovery. There's a model doing go-to-market campaigns. You got to have two different people accessing those. Models have to be trained for that. And by the way, nobody's looking to put all the data into some World Wide Web for the model to be fed over there. They want the models to be working within their four walls. There's a lot of prep work to be done for that, right?
So clearly, Salesforce being a customer of Informatica, they had some visibility into not just what you do, but the necessity of what you do.
Absolutely.
Could you take us inside that courtship?
Yeah, did you get flowers from Mark Benioff?
Did you go to the island in Hawaii? Please give us a little bit of a TikTok of what happened.
Just so you know, Mark has been a guest on Bold Names, and he dialed in from Hawaii, and we saw his dogs in the background. So it seems like a pretty nice place.
Yeah, we know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I think I'd say Mark's an amazing guy, and obviously he's got a vision. I mean, he's built something terrific at scale, and he's like looking at the next big thing, which is all around where the agentic world is going. So when Mark and I chatted, and I think his vision was really bold, and
wait, how did that conversation start? Did he just like hit you up on Signal, or you guys were already talking? How did this happen?
Hit me up on Signal. No, I don't think we use Signal. I'm not a Signal kind of guy. We're not doing anything that's secretive, to be very honest. Everything is fine. It's all public. We disclose everything. You'll see all the, through the regulatory compliance process, everything being published. I've been looking at it this way in all simplicity, right? Mark and I chatted, and I think his vision was very bold, that agent force, where he's taking the agentic world, and the world is going to go agentic. We all know that. And he realized that the stumbling block everybody will face is at the data layer. And what he wanted to hear from me first is like, what's your vision? And when I took him through our vision of AI, which is our AI called Claire, and we were going with GPT and our vision for agent, it just harmonized very well. And he's talking to his customers. His customers are telling him where the stumbling blocks for data is, or stumbling for AI to be successful is. And they are our customers. And they're telling him that, hey, in a lot of places, they use us. By the way, the other thing was very important for both sides was also that, obviously, look, there are two things that matter at the end of the day. It's the innovation you build. Ultimately, in tech, it's all about innovation. Second is people. Ultimately, people are still building innovation.
So he wanted your talent to some extent.
Absolutely. And the values on both sides matched a lot. Like, I mean, in fact, we have our values data. Do good, act as one team, think customer first, and aspire to innovate. And they have their values. And it was literally a match. I mean, different words, how they phrase it, but literally a match. And that matters a lot to us.
Well, let's take a step back here, because really what Salesforce vision for AI is that they use these things called agents. So essentially, the AI can go maybe perhaps do customer service for a company. The idea being the customer will come and plug in their data in a way that will allow that to work. And so that's why I would imagine he was interested in your company, because you need help cleaning up that data. But one thing I wonder here is, Informatica has been called the Switzerland of data because you work with everybody. How does this change the game once this deal goes through? It's, I believe, on track to close in early 2026. Is that correct?
Does not change. Absolutely. They were very clear in saying that, and that was one of the big discussions we had. In fact, I think people sometimes confuse. They have no desire to change it for all the right reasons. That ultimately, the Switzerland of data, the metadata that we collect, all of those things become extremely important. The wider they are, the bigger they are in the context of the agentic world, for agent force in particular. So they want that, and they were very clear. Mark was very clear that doesn't change. So that does not change. And by the way, we talk to all of our partners and give them, and they all see that. So none of that changes. That's important. That's important to us. That's important to them. And that's important to our joint customers.
I guess one of the things I'm curious as we talk about this deal, it seems like, okay, we can understand why you would want to do it. Why did the talks break down last year?
I'm looking at where we are today and where we're going with that. Right? And I think, so I believe generally in life, there's always things happen. and things happen, the right things happen at the right time for all the right reasons. I'm a big believer in those. And I think we can always try to always piece part things, but in life, things happen when they have to happen. You can try as much as you want to. We are all analytical people. Sometimes we can put our head against, bang our head against the wall, even when we are developing products. Sometimes we are ahead of the market, by the way. And I've thought there was a product that we were ahead of the market, and we it did take off. It took off much later. I'm like, why? It made so much sense. But sometimes things have to happen when they have to happen.
So you just couldn't come to terms in 2024?
I think I look at it where we are today. I mean, I think we'll don't want to, for all the right reasons. Just
We love the drama. Give us the drama.
I think what is it? We can create drama. For a lack of not having drama, we can create drama. And no, there is. Unfortunately, remember, we are the boring enterprise B2B software company. We believe in reducing drama.
Well, you're not so boring because there have been some critics of this deal. I think, some worry that Salesforce acquired MuleSoft in 2018, essentially kind of one of your rivals. So don't they already have some of this in-house? And then one of the co-founders of Informatica was telling MarketWatch before this was announced that he thought it would take 5 years to integrate Salesforce in your company, and that this was really about Salesforce trying to bulk up its revenue and its engineering. What do you think of those criticisms?
So on MuleSoft, first of all, look, First of all, our business is much broader. We do data integration, app integration, and data quality, blah, blah, blah. It is a very, very broad suite of data management. From the outside, some of the words look very similar. From the inside, that's not very true. In some cases, very complementary. They do a bunch of API-related stuff that we don't do. We do a lot of AI. So I think how people perceive that to be on paper is actually not true in practicality, and I leave it at that. I mean, I can't comment on what people have to say. You really want me to comment on that? Like, I don't know the guy, never met the guy, no clue what he does, where he is. Anybody can have it's a free world, remember, right? So I'll leave it at that.
Still a free world, I guess.
But you are, I mean, especially in AI, there is this incredible arms race for talent right now. I mean, reportedly $100 million deals. It's like people are signing LeBron James to a 5-year contract, but it's AI engineers.
You and I have to go find those deals.
We're looking. Trust me, we're looking for it every day.
Here's the thing, though, right? So Meta has been spending money like it's water, and presumably that was part of why Benioff wanted your company, right? You have experienced, seasoned talent. What do you think is driving this talent arms race?
Well, no doubt talent matters. Absolutely talent matters. AI is not created by AI. I mean, maybe someday it'll be like some AI will write its own AI and AI will deploy its AI and all of us will be sitting there watching this whole show happen. That's a creepy world. I don't want to be in that world. People are creating AI and I really hope it stays that way and we control that. Talent matters. And very clear, like, and when Mark was looking, this company has amazing talent. We make the best products because we have the best people in the world making the best products. It matters at the end of the day. So no doubt that's very true. And we are proud of that one. And then, like I go back, I mean, without talent, where are we going to go? It's true in our case, and it's going to be true in any tech curve, right? Ultimately,
but there have been, I mean, to date, there have been tens of thousands of net job losses in tech in, I believe, the past 12, 18 months. So it's not about any kind of talent right now. It's about AI talent. Why is AI talent so special right now when, Microsoft is announcing thousands of layoffs and the like?
I mean, look, in some ways, it's why is AI talent more? Because it's the next gen thing. Not many people know about it. And to be honest, like whenever a new technology has come, and there's always been a few people at the beginning who know that technology, right? I mean, and then of course, as and when the technology becomes more mature, more and more people know that technology and that talent war eases out. And I think things change, but in some ways, there's always new technology, fewer people. Everybody wants to get ahead of the curve. There's a winner. There's always the first mover advantage. Whosoever wins, who's in the market first, and nobody wants to lose that battle. So that's quite natural in a way. Obviously, being played out at a bigger stake because it's, I think, a massive change that's going to happen in the world of tech through AI. We all believe that. Even if it takes 5 years, 10 years in different ways, shape, or form, it's going to have a massive impact on all of us.
A Salesforce spokesperson said the planned acquisition of Informatica is a strategic step to accelerate its customers' AI transformations. The company also said it's committed to investing in Informatica's ecosystem of data and infrastructure partners, as well as utilizing its marketing and distribution teams to accelerate the growth of Informatica's cloud business.
When we come back, Walia talks about the hype around AI and what comes next.
Everybody wants to find the winner, only a few will come out. And so I think the bubble is a natural thing.
Stay with us. You've been in the Valley a long time. We've seen bubbles come and go. Is AI in a bubble right now?
Look, I'll say that tongue in cheek. Every technology curve creates its own bubble. When has it not? But at the same time, and it's very natural. I mean, let's be analytical about it. We all call it a bubble. Why? Here's what happens. I'll take the analogy of the big data world. Big data world, we saw that in our market, right? Every VC invested in every part of the big data stack. And pick a number. If there are 100 VCs, 200 VCs, and then number of VCs are growing, 500 VCs, 1,000 VCs. Everybody wants to make an investment in that part of the stack. Suddenly you have, 1,000 startups running around, right? Not all of them will survive. So that's the bubble, right? Now what will happen is that then some will come out as winners, and then many will go away. And that's the law of the best survive. It's happening now too. Now there are more VCs who are putting more money into that. So we will have a bigger, but it's the same. Everybody wants to find the winner. Only a few will come out. And so I think the bubble is a natural thing. I don't look at it something not natural. It's
how far away from a correction do you think we are? And what does a correction look like this time around?
I have no idea. I mean, I was reading something the other day. I catch up on podcasts. I'm like, okay, 18 months away, 24 months away, 6. I have no
You don't have a guess.
I wish I knew. I would be a rich man if I can predict the future. I have no clue.
Okay, I just pulled a book off my shelf. Are you familiar with this book, by the way? How Big Things Get Done.
No, I'm not.
Okay, the reason I ask is the core principle of this book, it's by a guy who like plans how you build giant civil engineering projects for a living, is a principle that you've espoused, right? Going slow to go fast. And what does that mean to you? And how does that work in AI development, where it seems like everybody's trying to go fast to go faster?
It's true. So look, I mean, I think the word slow is kind of looked down upon. Mm-hmm. Of course, we all want to go fast. We've been going fast like hell. I mean, ChatGPT came out in 22 and 23 May, we launched our version of GPT. So we were running like crazy ourselves. The point being, go back to the principles of engineering. If you start coding without writing a proper design doc or without having the concept clear in your mind about building the product, what you will do, you will create a lot of pain for you down the line. And in enterprise software, if you're basically serving large customers, the cost for that is very high, because they're going to implement for mission critical use cases where we are serving. And you can say, no, I got that wrong and I'm going to change it over. It's very high. And customers have elephantine memory of getting something wrong. And they're going to be like, well, now I'm going to wait for it. So go slow to me is that, do you have the right vision for them? Of course, iterate fast, get previews, get customer feedback. But do you have the right vision for what the product is? Have you been very crystal clear about what you want the outcome to be? What exactly the use case is serving and what will you get? And sometimes we want to rush through that, getting the right architectural decision, because making some of those right in the first stage can help you in the long term. Of course, you're going to get some wrong. That's okay. So to me, that's about step back. So every time we're rushing, then I hold the team back and say, let's have a design day. We're going to talk. We're just going to talk. And that to me is what I mean by go slow to go fast. So you don't make big mistakes and errors for the long term, but you should make short for the short term, because that's tech. You're gonna keep fixing them.
Which I have to imagine is somewhat important to some of your huge clients, who some of these boards are really worried about kind of compliance issues when it comes to their data and making sure that they don't kind of get over their skis as they roll this stuff out. I mean, we've seen just how some of these AI chatbots can be very embarrassing to some of these companies already. And when you've got the company's reputation on the line, that can be nerve-wracking. What's your advice there?
Totally. And by the way, this is where I'm going back to the earlier question, is why are things slow in enterprise? And the reason for that is not because they want to be slow. As they get to more heavy duty production, now they're thinking about compliance use cases, governance use cases. And by the way, we think of regulatory compliant industries. It's just not just that. Your brand matters. If you do something wrong, your brand will suffer, right? If I basically let my chatbot do whatever it is on the customer end of things and the chatbot gets it totally wrong, I'm going to have a very pissed off customer. That's a very distasteful experience for a customer spending a lot of money, right? Customers care about compliance, and data should not go into the hands of wrong people, and all those kind of things. So you got to get that right. This is where enterprises are different than consumers. And enterprise serving consumers have a much higher bar.
We've talked a lot about enterprise customers here, not surprising given your role, but you have a good insight into where things are going for the consumer given your role. And I'm just curious, put your magic ball out there, where things are going. Clearly, you're a believer in agentic AI. And I guess I wonder, what does the rise of these agents mean for consumer computing, in particular mobile? How are we going to interact with our digital overlords?
Yeah, how much autonomy are we going to give them?
Yeah. Rise of the agents, digital overlords. I'm feeling a little scared right now. I mean, look, it'll be an agentic world for sure. We all see that coming, and now it'll take different spans of time for different consumer apps versus enterprise apps, and front end apps versus back end apps. All those things will go through their different life cycle for sure. But agentic is the way to go, no doubt about that one.
Does that mean it's the end of the App Store?
No, it could be I don't know. It could very well be. I'm no expert in the world of consumer. Maybe App Store becomes agent store. I don't know. I have no idea.
Where do you think we're going to see adoption first? Because right now, the folks who tell me that they're actually using agentic AI, it's very much in the back end. It's very much, using it as a factory worker rather than as an employee. And, great if you want to translate from one code base to another. But at what point is this going to start to affect me in any way as a consumer?
Anything takes time. I think you're right. I think part of the reason is that even the technologies to support doing that stuff are not fully ready, right? I mean, the agentic stuff is not ready yet to be out there. But definitely, so much of the backend stuff is happening right now, like you said, right? I mean, look at how code writing has changed and how we can do things, and assisted code creation is just gone through the roof right now, so on and so forth. But I think some of them have to be properly vetted out, and I think that's what is happening. And a lot of startups are vetting it out. A lot of companies like ours are internally, basically running experiments to do that. So I think it's time. I mean, look, I think 2026 will be a big year. A lot of stuff is happening this year. I think you will start seeing a lot happening. I think we will visibly see some stuff in the sense of impacting us end to end. But I expect visibly to see some stuff that like, oh, so that happened. And oh, so I can see that becoming something bigger. I expect to see that 2026.
Well, I think that's probably a good spot to end it today. We could go on for much longer, but I really appreciate you making time to talk about not only the now, but also the future.
Thank you for hosting me. Really love talking to both of you. Let's see how the world holds together. Maybe we can come back sometime next year and see what happened. And then we can give a report card to the last year and then figure out the next 12 months.
I like that. We're gonna have you come back and either crow about your agentic AI prediction or eat crow on that particular count.
I'll keep saying we'll go slow to go fast.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Stick around. Tim and I are going to get into how this moment compares to the early dot-com boom and why now is the moment for Salesforce to spend big on acquisitions like Informatica.
So, Mims, what do you think about his answer? Why Informatica is worth $8 billion to Salesforce?
I think a big part of this clearly is the fact that Informatica has been in this game for so long and Salesforce is a customer. So data preparation doesn't exactly stir the blood, but if you need them, if you're a customer of them,
it's not an OnlyFans account, that's for sure.
Then you know what their value is. And of course, this is the thing about AI. We just keep hearing this over and over again. Generative AI was supposed to make it possible to just kind of magic any giant pool of data, but you just can't get away from the fact that you got to clean it up. You got to do the basic data science to make it good, to make it usable. There's no escaping that.
All the headlines out there, the biggest headlines are about the open AIs of the world raising all of these huge billions of dollars and all the money they're spending. But I think of the gold rush of another era in San Francisco, and that is the Levi's jeans of the world, who made the money off of everybody rushing to the gold mines, right? And that Informatica in a lot of ways
I did not
is like
expect that gold rush.
Informatica is kind of like that, right? Just like NVIDIA is like that. Just like a lot of these companies who maybe are not, as popular, but are key to making this kind of leap, are finding new relevance, I guess, or new value.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you picking an example from your youth, but if we fast forward to my youth, I was thinking about the gold rush of the internet, right?
Oh, I heard about that. I read about it.
Yeah, you might have. I think maybe you were asleep. That was before you cut off your beard and woke up and discovered the 20th century. But obviously what happened then was you built out a lot of infrastructure which makes the internet physically today, right? Sure. So you have all the fiber optic stuff that was put in the ground, and some of those companies were, people forget, the biggest ones in the bubble, then they died, but the infrastructure that they built later gave rise to the subsequent internet booms. And I do wonder sometimes with a lot of this AI stuff, and people tell me this, right? They think a lot of the big tech companies are hedging their bets by investing tens of billions into these giant AI data centers. But when there's a pullback, what's going to be left is this less exciting but super necessary stuff, like what Informatica does.
So is Informatica a good deal for Salesforce? Or if they waited a little bit longer, do you think they could have got more? At a certain point, a few months earlier, they were valued much higher. Just curious, did they time the market correctly?
Well, here's a fun little finance lesson that I learned recently. Salesforce could wait until there's a fire sale on AI companies. But by that point, maybe it's too late because Salesforce's value is that much lower. So when we're in this inflated bubble environment, these crazy valuations make sense because the company doing the acquisition, whether it's Salesforce or Meta or even OpenAI, they've got the money to burn, right? Or they have the equity,
right? If
its stock is any part of that deal, or they're borrowing against that stock.
And in some ways, it seems as investors of these public companies are kind of excited to see some of this big spending going on, right? Because if you're changing the world, what's a few $100 million between friends, right? And those are the kinds of salaries that Meta is paying to lure in big AI talent. And $8 billion, maybe this is a deal. Maybe it'll help them get to the next level at Salesforce.
And that's Bold Names. Our producer is Danny Lewis.
We had additional help this week from Ariana Asparu.
Our fact checker is Aparna Nathan. Michael Laval and Jessica Fenton are our sound designers. Jessica also wrote our theme music.
Our supervising producer is Catherine Millsop. Our development producer is Aisha Al-Muslim. Scott Salloway and Chris Inslee are the deputy editors, and Philana Patterson is the Wall Street Journal's head of news audio.
For even more, check out our columns on WSJ.com. We link them in the show notes.
I'm Tim Higgins.
And I'm Christopher Mims. Thank you for listening.